Why don't you like coffee?
I don't know.
You don't have a taste for it? Like, are you against it?
No.
Do you wish you liked it?
Yep.
So you could be
So
cool?
coffee is not bad for you. Obviously, if you add brown sugar and all that crap to it,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Shut up.
but coffee in general is good. You know, it's not bad.
Brown sugar's not regular sugar.
Yeah, that's right.
It's good sugar.
Comes from a healthy source of sugar.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know. I've tried it. I mean, I've drank.
You haven't had good coffee.
Dude, I've drank it from everywhere. I had it from Dunkin' Donuts in Egypt, and I didn't even like it.
Have you had it from Alex, the restaurant?
So theirs has like a half a cup of sugar and a cup of coffee, though. But
yeah, it does.
But it's like I like it. I just can't. I love the smell of it. I love the initial taste, but I can't do the aftertaste. I don't know.
It gives you coffee breath. Like the other day, I was at my counseling session, and I'm doing trauma therapy with my counselor, and she was like, "Hey, you want to do EMDR?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, but whenever we do EMDR, she has to sit kind of close to me, and she has to do her fingers like right in front of my face. It's part of the process, but she has to be really close to me, and I have to be talking to her. And so I was like,
did she ask you a question?
Just so you know, I have coffee breath. And she was like, "Oh, I don't care. I do too." Yeah. So, but that's one thing I'm always like self-conscious about. Is like whenever I drink coffee, because I drink coffee every morning. Yeah. And whenever I do, I have to have a mint or a gum or something, because it gives me the worst out. But like I had that coffee this morning that you bought me. I'm gonna have to get some more coffee. Like and that's probably something I need to check myself on, is because I'm probably pretty reliant on coffee, and I need to probably chill out for a bit. I probably need to go like a week without drinking coffee.
Yeah, I went 6 months without caffeine, roughly 6 months, and I actually felt great. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, for the first maybe a week or so, it was weird, a little rough, headache for like 3 days. So, but after that, I was fine.
My buddy, whenever my old roommate, when I used to live with him, we drank coffee like every morning. We would go get coffee every morning, and we would do our devotion together and read together, and it was pretty cool. But he got to where he was like, "Man, I'm just tired of spending money on it," and so he started buying caffeine pills. And he said they're just. He's like, but I just miss drinking coffee. Yeah. He was like, but it really wasn't so it kind of taught him like, oh, I didn't care about the caffeine necessarily. I just liked drinking coffee. Yeah. You know?
It's like a habit of it. That's the stuff that I drink is same thing. Mm-hmm. Like I could drink it and go to sleep. I don't get it. And I actually just bought, so I knew about caffeine pills, but I just bought little individual packets of caffeine, and it's flavorless, 200 milligrams. I haven't tried them yet. I'm going to try them this week. Yeah. See what happens. I drank some kind of all natural energy drink the other day, and I felt like my heart was going to go out. It was like 200 and something milligrams of caffeine. I usually drink like 80 or 90, and it did pretty good. I
got my booty chewed out this week by my wife. I told her, she handles our money, and so she sees like my transactions, and she's like, "What do you get at the gas station?" And she knows my morning routine. She knows that I make coffee and I read the Bible, and I usually have a Yeti cup full of coffee and I drink it. And I was like, "Wow, I usually get a Monster at the gas station." She's like, "You drink a cup of coffee and you drink a Monster?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "You buy a Monster every day?" I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Sorry, you're gonna die." Yeah. So I had to calm down on those.
The Monsters. Haven't had one of them in a long time. I couldn't drink one.
Yeah, they're rough. How's your week been?
Fantastic. We've had some rain. Storms came through. Yeah. So we were running around busy with that. Other than that, it was good. We had some things happen this week in the community. Yeah. But Pretty good week. How about you?
Pretty good. A lot of people got messed up with the storms. I guess that's good for business as far as ZB Electric is concerned, but it's still sad.
Oh yeah.
I didn't mean that sounds insensitive. I mean, it like obviously we're gonna benefit in some way as far as like we're making money, but it still is very unfortunate for the people that have to go through that. But also we've had some people at our church that passed away this weekend. I'm not going to go into the details, but very sad. Never fun, but we know where they're at. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it was a good week. Just busy mentally and physically. Just draining.
Yeah.
Good week.
Well, I think you got a question for me or for us.
Think? Are you scared?
Yeah, because I don't have any prep time.
You already know what it is. It's I think it's a really good question. It steps on my toes every day, and I don't ask myself this every day, and I wish I did, and I want to start. The question is, why do we allow ourselves to be entertained by the things Jesus died for? And that's a hard one.
And it goes along with the other questions. It's just kind of really makes you take inventory or of what your actions are daily.
Yeah. It encompasses, and I mean we're in the trade world. We're around it all the time. Like the jokes that in our eye, like they're funny jokes. I'm very guilty of this. I have a very dark sense of humor, and I can get carried away at times where it's a funny joke, but
it can cut. I'm same way. It can cut a little too deep.
Yeah.
And you don't. And even if the person laughs, sometimes it's like crap.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I was an EMT for a while, and you can imagine the jokes it was just horrible. Mm-hmm. But I mean that was just a lot of people like that's, and our excuse was like, okay, that's just how we cope. Like that's just how it is. Yeah. And my mom, she worked for an ambulance company in Shreveport, and they were the same way. They were rough people, and so I just grew up with that.
Yeah.
But whenever you become a Christian, it's like, man, that it's a grace from God, but it really exposes those things in you that, like, man, that joke went a little too far. That was pretty mean, Sawyer.
You made me think of something, and I believe it ties in with what you're saying. I think it does. But we were riding in a truck one day. I had somebody with me, and there was a guy it was hot, summertime, pretty warm.
Yeah.
And he was wearing a hoodie, and the person that was with me made fun of him, like, look at that idiot wearing a hoodie. It's hot outside. What are they doing? You know, and I immediately, now used to I wouldn't have, but I immediately went to their defense, like, man, I get what you're saying, but what if that's all they have?
Yeah.
What if they just woke up under that bridge right down here and they're just trying to go find something to eat?
Yep.
And, Jesus died for that guy too.
Yep.
So just things like that. You just made me think of that when we were talking about that, because a joke, we can just take it too far, and we're insensitive to people that, man, that dude might have just got up literally from sleeping outside and just hungry, or anything, and here we are sitting in our air conditioning truck, just come from our house, and to try to make fun of something like that. So
yeah, and I was always asked this, and sometimes it never really hit, but and this is very Sunday school, I think, but like, would you make that joke if Jesus was in the room? And like bare bones, that like, okay, that's what you ask your 4-year-old, would you make that joke if mommy was in the room, or, something like that? But like, you think about it, if Jesus Christ was standing right here, would I be joking the same way that I'm joking? Like what would my posture look like?
Yeah.
What would I be doing? I talked about in the last, I think it was the last episode, Revelation 4, how there's angels in heaven right now with 6 wings. They're flying. Two wings are covering their face, 2 wings are covering their body, and the other 2 are flying. And they're just worshiping God. What if I was standing in that room with them? Would I be joking the same way that I'm joking? You know?
Yeah.
And like, heck no, I wouldn't be, you know? And I don't make those jokes in church.
Yeah.
And so it's just, and I'm not, I hate because I don't want to be like the I don't want to like suck the fun out of the room, or well, you know, I kind of am, but you know, it's like I am just as guilty of this as the next person. I'm like I make myself sick thinking about it because I'm so guilty of it, and a lot of it is from the things I allow into my life, like the TV shows I watch, or like the music I listen to. It's like, yes, I love Christian music. Yes, I love to watch The Chosen. But man, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, sometimes I want to watch a funny movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
a comedy.
I love Adam Sandler. I love Will Ferrell. I do. They are not clean.
Yeah,
It's very rough.
There's a verse. I was seeing if that was one of those, but there's a verse that says that, and I think it's, you just got to look at what you're filling your head with. You know, if you're let's just use like if you're using or listening to a song that talks about how I don't even know one because I don't listen to them anymore. But if you just listen to a song that's just talking about how crappy life is, and this person did this to me, and you know all these things, well, you're gonna feel that way.
That's how
forever.
you're gonna feel. Yep.
But if you listen to stuff, and it doesn't have to be Christian music if that's not your thing or whatever. Of course, that would be really good. But just uplifting songs and movies, like you said, the comedies. I mean, you gotta be careful what you fill your head with. We got into just recently got into watching. We never watch movies. I mean, just rarely anyway. And we started watching thrillers, and not like horror movies, death and all that. Just like thriller, you know, scary stuff. I'm scared. Lauren's over there, just straight face. I'm like hiding,
bebopping.
You know? But I got, you know, we think about that stuff, and we turn on a comedy, like you said, and they just start, you know, F this, F that. Well, we turn it off. We're just not even interested in it anymore because it just fills you with that, you know.
Yep. And I'm gonna go the route because, like, man, if we're gonna talk about this topic, like, let's talk about it, you know. But I want the people that are listening to know, like, I understand. I'm not. My goal is to not be cynical or to be extra biblical, or to, you know, just point my finger, you know, put my finger in your chest. I think the Bible talks about this, and so I want to talk about it. So I just want to preface, but like you look at TV shows like SpongeBob. I love SpongeBob. You know, I haven't watched it in forever, but like growing up, that's what I watched. And you know, as an adult, you get up and you watch SpongeBob now, and you're like, and you really think about it, like they're making fun of each other constantly in that TV show. They're constantly demeaning each other, and you might like, it's innocent, yeah, sure, but you know, you're a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old watching that. That's what you trash in, trash out. That's what you're taking in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lot of TV shows now. That's a lot of movies now, a lot of Disney movies. And they're just demeaning. Even if it's innocent, it's not necessarily just mean, like they're joking about it. It's still demeaning.
Yeah.
It's still, you know, the Bible says, let the words, I'm going to butcher it, but like build each other up. You know, let the things that you say be to build up and not to tear down. I know I butchered that verse, but that's the basics of what it says. And man, let everything I say build someone up. Yeah. Don't let any unwholesome talk come out of my mouth. Whoa.
Yeah.
You know, Man, that's a lot. You know how many unwholesome things I say in a day?
Yeah.
So many. And it's funny, sure, but it's not, I'm not building that person up. And like even me and you, we joke like that with each other. Like, I think me and you have that sort of relationship where like, it's funny. You don't feel, I don't believe, I don't want to sound hypocritical right here, but I don't, I think me and you have that sort of relationship where like we can joke with each other about that. That doesn't make it right. And I think recently me and you have kind of come to that to where it's like, man, we really need to watch what we're saying.
Mm-hmm. Especially on some things.
Yeah.
Well, me, you, and Ben working and doing that, and I was like, these people around us might not think we're joking.
Yeah, they're like,
even though we weren't saying like nasty things or anything, it's just like the jokes, you know, and construction humor, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's clean, it's still like they may not understand that.
Yeah, it comes across
relationship,
and man, it's so convicting. And I love music. I love music, and I love country music. I love this. I like metal. I like rock and roll. I used to love rap. I cannot listen to rap anymore. That's off the table now. But like I used to listen to Post Malone all the time. Like I just love music like that. But man, whenever I listen to country music, I really want to drink beer.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really want to go buy a pack of cigarettes.
Smoke a cigarette.
You know what I mean? Like, and that because that's just what I did.
Right.
And it kind of it brings me back to that time in my life whenever I was riding in my truck listening to Cody Johnson or Luke Combs, and I had a Marlboro stuck out the window. Like that's just that's just how I lived. And now, I'm trying to live different, but whenever it's very psychological, and I'm not trying to get too technical or too, extra biblical or anything like that. But I turn on a Luke Combs song or a Cody Johnson song, and I just my mouth just starts watering,
reminiscing.
Yeah.
I think that, and so the question or these questions, especially like this one, repeat the question.
Why do we allow ourselves to be entertained by the things Jesus died for?
Yeah, and see. Basically, he died for everything that's listed as sin. And so we, whether that's the smoking, drinking, whatever you want to say, that could be, there's a lot of sin.
Yep.
But and again, I know where you're going. You're not trying to be holier than thou. Obviously, we're not doing that. We're just literally exploring this question and topic.
It's a question. It needs to be asked.
I think that there's a lot of little things we do as you grow in your walk and get closer, you realize even like what we were talking about, some of those jokes are really funny. And even the person that the joke is about or the group of people, even, it's funny.
Sure.
But what if they're laughing, but it does cut a little deep?
Yeah. Like they're just trying to fit in.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've done that or like a joke hurt me and I just don't, but I'm not going to say anything about it.
Yeah. And in that moment, you're not building them up. You're tearing them down. Even though you think they're laughing, you just don't know.
Yep.
I got a shirt that says "Be kind" on the front, and on the back it says "Everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about." That's why everybody, it's such a shock when somebody kills themselves, and it seems like they had it all together, but really, nobody really
Understands. Yeah.
Knew their inner struggles, and so you just never know.
Never know.
And I think that's where that question comes from, is just being really careful, really thoughtful about what you're doing. Not only joking with somebody, but every action that you take in life.
Yeah. And I think that kind of, I'm not trying to, I want to keep prefacing. I'm not trying to sound extra biblical. I do not think I'm holier than thou. I do not think that I've reached this untold knowledge of the Bible. I'm asking these questions to myself too. But I think that like once you're sitting there, you're always thinking like you're always self-conscious about okay, is this joke really worth saying right now? Is it worth me entertaining this thought that I'm about to like it? Yeah, it would make the room laugh.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it would. Even the person I'm saying the joke to would probably think it's funny, but is it worth it? I think, go ahead.
No. The one, I'm not going to repeat it, but the one we talked about yesterday at lunch, I told my wife that one in the truck. And after I said it, man, it is funny. But then after I said it, I was like, probably just shouldn't even bring that up. You know what I mean? Golly, it's a tough walk there.
Yeah. It's, and they're funny, I say that I'm not saying that as like a cop out. Like, it's funny to us, and like the inner circle that we're in, there's certain circles that I wouldn't say those jokes in, obviously. And do I think that Jesus and the disciples laughed together? Do I think that they, had fun together? Yes. Do I think that they demeaned each other? No. Right. I think I wouldn't think they would.
The disciples might have.
Sure. Jesus
did they not. Probably did. He probably corrected them.
Yeah, or did not participate.
Yeah.
But I had a thought, and then you rudely interrupted me.
I hate when that happens.
But, you always want to be self-conscious about what you're saying, how you're saying it, always. And I think that once you're doing that, once you're sitting there, and I'm not saying that like you have to sit there and work and be like, oh, don't, but like I think the Holy Spirit is going to expose those things in your life, and He's going to say, hey, maybe that's not the right joke to say. Okay, and you're sensitive to that, and you're working on yourself, and you're separating yourself from what society would deem as funny.
Yeah,
and I think that in a way like clears a lot of fog in your mind, and it makes you more susceptible to listening to what the Spirit has to say. Whereas if I'm constantly compromising, like it's just a joke, it's funny, they're gonna laugh, it's okay. If I'm constantly compromising that, that's creating a lot of fog in my mind, and it's also, I don't see that helping your relationship with God grow.
Right.
I don't see that, and so Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Mm-hmm. I think that falls in that category. Like you don't need to look like the world. If you call yourself a Christian, if you have trusted in the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and you have allowed the Spirit into your life to speak into your life, I don't think you need to do what the world does.
Yeah.
I think you need to separate yourself from that.
Yeah.
And that falls in that category. It sucks. I'm going to be the first one to say that. I hate that. I love funny jokes. I love to laugh, and that's funny to me. But it's not funny.
Right.
I'm not going to be making those jokes in heaven.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I always say is the and I don't want to use, you think of the church as four walls. That's just kind of what we think. Mm-hmm. And I guess if you go to a specific one, a lot of times you could ask if should I do this or should I not? Well, would you stand up on the stage and do it? Because we're also called to walk in the light as He is in the light. I think of that one a lot.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, I'm not going to name names, but I'm thinking of somebody that I know who was in a group of people, actually a small group, and somebody played a video that had was funny, but it had a lot of vulgar language in it, and he stopped a guy, which, man, I wish I say I'll do stuff like this, but then when it comes time to do it,
chicken.
Yep,
yeah,
chicken
me too.
out.
Oh, me too.
But he said, man, look, we really, that's not good, and the guy accepted that and was like, I know, I completely get it. I understand that.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, they were being entertained by things that we shouldn't be entertained by.
Yeah. I like that quote. You don't want to be a thermometer. You want to be a thermostat. You want to, and man, I'm horrible at this too. Like, set the temperature in the room. Like whenever, like that sermon you talked about that Willie preached that one time, that Jesus guy.
Yeah.
I want to be the person. I don't want to suck the fun out of the room, but I want to be the person that whenever I walk into the room, and it's not because of anything I've done. It's because of, I want it to be because of my convictions. I want it to be because Jesus radiates out of me so much that whenever I walk into the room, they see Jesus in me, or they think. And the first person that comes to mind is, I don't know if he listens to this, but it's David Hall. I don't know. Have you ever met David?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, whenever that guy walks into and just like even me, like I quit making those jokes.
I was about to say, you ain't making no jokes in front of him.
I'm not. And he's funny, but he's funny in he's funny in a godly way.
Yeah.
Now, David's not perfect. I know that, but man, that guy radiates Jesus so much that I associate Jesus with David Hall. Every time I see him, I'm gonna act different whenever I'm around him. I want to be that.
Well, that's one way to check yourself is, if, like you said, if somebody walks in the room and you like have to be quiet about something,
yikes,
shouldn't be discussing that.
Yep.
I use that all the time. Actually, that's in my testimony part, is to be that Jesus guy, not because of like I want to show off how good I am or all this. It's just, you want to walk in the room and you want people to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
They can, whether it's, sharing something, if they feel comfortable, like sharing something that they're struggling with, maybe they're just down and out about something, and you walk in the room and you just bring some sort of comfort. Like, that's what I want. And it's not, but again, it's hard to explain that. It's not because you want to just be some great dude that everybody looks up to.
Yeah.
You really want them to just see Jesus in your actions.
Yeah.
And we can't really do that if we're making these, not so good joke. Again, the jokes we're talking about here are not like what we used to joke about.
Oh, heck no.
They're not even that level. And that's where look at that though. I mean, that's something that we can look to and be like, wow, where have we come from? Because I know the jokes I used to make aren't nothing near what I make now. And now I'm questioning these jokes. Yeah. And I mean, that even goes to the caffeine thing. We're talking about coffee earlier. I question caffeine. Like, am I really waking up in the morning looking forward to caffeine to get my day going, or am I just looking forward to the day
because drugs?
I'm waking up. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at God.
So
no, that is really cool. That's a cool perspective, and that's what I'm saying is like we're not we talk about it every podcast. We're not experts on this. Like we don't have it all figured out. So we're not just like, this isn't a TED talk on here's 30 ways to make your life to be a better Christian. No, these are questions we want to ask, but I'm going to kind of expose myself. Kirsten was listening to it. She had her AirPods in and she was cleaning the house the other day and kind of walking. No, she was like repotting plants and doing some stuff around the house. And she had her AirPods in for her book. And I was watching Happy Gilmore. And it's a good movie. I like that. That's my kind of humor. I know it's a funny one. It's a funny movie. And I was, just the whole time she's walking around. Now she's like in the room, not in the same room as me. And, I'm watching the movie and it's fine. And then I hear behind me. And then all of a sudden I'm super aware of what's on the screen. And I'm like, oh my God. I kind of feel like this gross feeling of like, oh man. Cause it's like, it's a scene where, she's not nude, but it's not a good scene. And it's a half, almost nude person, woman. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh crud, Kirsten's in the room.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here watching this. Before I wasn't conscious of it. I was just watching it. Like it wasn't affecting me. I was just watching it. But then whenever she walked in the room, I was. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh, okay. And then I clicked off of it. But, it was just like.
It was a conviction.
Oh, yeah. But it wasn't until someone was there. Yeah. And it's the same thing as like, man, what if Jesus was here? Would I have been watching that? You know, if Jesus was here, would I be making this joke? If Jesus was here, would I be listening to this song? You know, and it encompasses everything that we do in life, and it needs to.
You just made me think. Early on, I may have talked about this before, but early on, I was like, I used to go to the casino like maybe twice a year or something, like, you know, very rarely anyway. And pre being a Christian, and I would go play blackjack, and then once I was saved, the people that I normally went with wanted to go, and I messaged my grandma and I was like, is going to the casino like, but I'm not like addicted to this. It's just I literally go with these people once or twice a year just because that's what they like to do. Is that a sin? She literally wrote back, would you invite Jesus with you?
Dang.
You could answer that two ways. I can see both. I can see both sides. Be like, well, yeah, I'd preach the gospel.
Yep.
But are you doing that? You know what I mean? And then the other side of that's like, well, no, that's not where we would.
Yep.
We should be hanging out. Now, if you went the first way and you were spreading the gospel there somehow, then obviously, yeah, that's good. But the whole point there was that probably wouldn't bring Jesus to do that. I ask my kids that all the time. You know, when they talk about, because you know, kids, not that they don't even do half of what I did, but they ask questions like that, and I'm like, well, what do you think Jesus would say about that? And that just changes your perspective, because we're just humans, you know. We're geared, like you said, there's a funny joke. You know, maybe you're making fun of somebody. It's funny. Yeah. I mean, you laugh, you can't help it. But should we be? And that the person or one of the guys that comes to mind is Jim, and man, he's so just wow. I don't know what to say. He's so consistent with that. Where you say a joke, and if it's everybody else might be laughing, he's kind of like, man, it's not that he doesn't suck the fun out.
He's not trying to make you feel bad,
right? He doesn't, like when you say it. This was early on, I guess. Now I've kind of realized I don't need to be doing stuff like that. Even though they're not as crude as they used to be or whatever, it's still like he just makes you be aware of what you're saying. And he doesn't suck the fun out of it. It's not like afterwards when he corrects you, you're not like pouting and wanting to go away. You're like, man, you're right. Thank you for that. It's a loving correction.
I do appreciate those times whenever, like, because there's times where like I'll make a joke because I want to fit in. Like I want people to laugh, and I enjoy making people laugh. But like I'll make a joke, and then Kirsten's it ticks me off sometimes, but it's also like it's really good that she does. I love this about her. But she'll just be like, "That's not funny," and I'm like, oh, ouch. But she's right. It's like, that was borderline.
Isn't that the worst moments?
Yeah, I'm like, gee, thanks.
Especially when it is one of those, and I think you're the same way as me, and I don't do them as much anymore, but you do these jokes that are that are borderline mean, if they're not just plain out mean. And again, they might laugh and it's funny or whatever, but it's whenever somebody stops you from doing that, like you say it and they're like, that's not funny. You just like instantly, you either get mad or or it's like a gut punch.
Jim McWilliams asked me a question the other day in that morning meeting that he talked at.
Oh yeah.
And he said, we were talking about something with the podcast. And he said, well, a question I always asked was, is the stock market considered gambling? And I was like, that's a whole different topic, but it kind of ties in. But like, you kind of think about it, and it's like, yes, in a way, it is. I mean, if you think about it. And he was like, and that was like what you were just talking about. Like, would you invite Jesus to the casino with you? And that kind of made me think about it. It's just two different perspectives. Like, yeah, you know, would you invite Jesus to do that? But then you think about like, okay, would I invite Jesus to do the stock market, like talk about stocks with
go to Wall Street or wherever and do day trade.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I don't really like you think about it and you're like, yeah, sure. I don't see anything wrong with that. But it's like, if you just think about it, and I'm not trying to be holier than I'm not trying to. And it's like, but you got to think about this stuff.
Yeah. You made me think of that. If he all things, this is 1 Corinthians 10:23.
Ooh, I like this one.
It says, "All things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. Mm-hmm. All things are lawful for me, but not all things edify."
Yep.
Give me just a second.
Yep.
And edify is to build up, especially in a spiritual or moral sense. Mm-hmm. And so we're supposed to edify Christ, God.
Yeah.
And so everything we do, I got way off track by stopping to read that. But everything that we do, so with what Jim's talking about, the stock market, I don't know. Would Jesus go do that to edify his Father?
Yeah, right.
Would he spend his day trading? I don't know. You know, and again, that's the holier than thou area we're getting in, I believe. But like, is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Would it edify? Does it edify? I don't really think it does. Now, if you just put money in a 401k account and somebody's investing it, and you're making some money off of it, it's just a good thing to question. That's all. And that's where he's coming from, too.
The Bible talks about investing, the
talents.
The parable of the talents, like, I gave you this much. What did you do with it?
One guy buried it, didn't do nothing.
Exactly.
The others doubled it or whatever.
Yeah, and then the ones that invested it, that grew it, they got rewarded.
Yeah.
And it's... And this is a different perspective, but like, take like you and me. When I look at how do I put this? I buy a pack of cigarettes, okay, and I smoke all those cigarettes. I would look at that like, okay, I probably shouldn't have done that. But then, I bought 10 bags of Doritos, and then I eat 10 bags of Doritos. It's still pretty bad, but that's not as, I wouldn't look at that as like, okay, it's better than smoking cigarettes. But then you look at someone like a Coke addict. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but a Coke addict, and they buy a pack of cigarettes. It's not as bad as Coke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing right here. And it's like, and it's not that, and I'm not trying to say that we're just like, we're at a different level, like we're a better person. But we like,
well, you're just further along in sanctification or I guess.
And that's a rocky place too. But it is in reality, like, just the reality of it, like, that's just the place that me and you are at, where we want to grow. God, we were here.
I see where you're going. Yeah.
We were here at one point. Like, I was addicted to Adderall. I was addicted to cigarettes, vape, weed. I did all this stuff. I partied, drank, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting convicted about drinking coffee. And I'm not, it's not me.
I see where you're going.
I did not do that. But perspective wise, like, man, I do not consider myself varsity Christian at all. I've been brought here by Jesus. That's the only reason I'm at this place. And I still struggle with a lot of things. Like, I still heavily struggle with lust. And that's just one of my things that I struggle with all the time. But I don't struggle with the same thing. And I don't struggle with it in the same way that I used to. Right. If that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know where you were going with the Doritos. I got you though. You're saying, somebody that's possibly not saved, or let's just say, regardless of that, they're addicted to cocaine. Mm-hmm. They get off of that, but they're smoking cigarettes to kind of fill that void.
Sure.
So now they're better. Well, now maybe they
trying to get off cigarettes.
Yeah, getting off cigarettes, but because of that, and I can attest to this. When I quit dipping, I started eating chocolate.
Oh,
so
yeah.
every time I craved a dip, I would eat chocolate. And so I went from 175 to 240.
Yep.
And I ate a bunch of food because like I was so used to having a dip right after every meal. Then I would eat like a peanut butter and jelly, chocolate, anything to like fight off that craving. So now I'm away from that. Well, I mean, even today, right now, and Lauren would love to tell this, after supper, I still eat too much dessert stuff. Like I'm not eating like M&Ms and stuff, but I eat healthier versions, but
sure,
I'm still doing too much.
There's still something.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. So I'm not fighting the per se cocaine or drug addiction. I'm fighting, am I drinking too much coffee? Or am I eating, am I suffering from gluttony, I guess, at this point, and eating too much food. So, and again, that's not because of anything, like we're not better than anybody else. The person that's addicted to cocaine, we're just further along. We're trying to grow closer and closer and closer. And how can we do that?
And just because you're, and I'm not saying if you're a coke addict, I'm better than you at all. Yeah. We just, I don't see a high. This is a whole different topic. I don't see a hierarchy in sin. I see sin as sin. And I'm not saying that eating chocolate is a sin, but I'm saying that
this is a whole nother podcast.
It's a whole, it is. But you just gotta, it's all about perspective. And Jesus died for your coke addiction, just like he died for my 10 bags of Doritos addiction. Yeah. You know what I mean? And for coffee, right? And it's that's a rocket. But I know you know what I'm saying.
You made me think of and I can't quote the verse. As a matter of fact, I have a phone, so I can.
An iPhone. You're so rich.
Let's see.
I have a phone too. I'm super rich.
Yeah, I know. Matthew 7.
I love Matthew 7.
So why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye?
Yep.
So what you made me think of, we're not sitting here saying, oh, you're a coke addict and look at us.
Yep.
We're just in a different spot of what we're looking at now, what we're trying to battle.
Yep.
We're there you go. We're in a different battle than what we used to be in.
Yep.
That's all. And that's something, again, that's a whole nother, I think we could talk about that.
Oh, yeah,
because
that'd be a good topic.
Is one sin bigger than another? No. And well, we can't get off of that. We got a whole nother one, but you can go into that as, oh man, that's deep.
That'd be good. I'd like that. Y'all tune in. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So stick with us. So I think we pretty much need to wrap that one up.
Yeah. What a good, I really enjoyed that. Yeah. That's a good topic.
And I know we say this a lot, but if y'all listen in, we don't prepare for this. Maybe different than other podcast things. I'm not sure. I don't listen to the other podcasts. Why would you when you got this one? No. And we don't prep. Like you did tell me the question. Obviously, I'm not saying that you didn't tell me that, but I didn't like go study up on it and look up scripture. We really enjoy the discussion. Asking each other questions and discussing it just raw and live because this is trying to be just kind of a recorded small group session.
I want it to be authentic.
Yeah. So we appreciate y'all listening. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
Ditto.
And we hope that y'all like and share all those good things. Let some more people find out about this. Give us a comment. Tell us if you have anything you want to add.
Awesome. We love y'all so much.